All right, welcome back to WMMA Scene Now with your host, Chuck Stevenson, and welcome to episode number 77 of the WMMA Scene Report, our regular show where we go over everything going on in the world of women's mixed martial arts. A little bit of fight reviews, a little bit of news, some rankings, discussions, fight previews. We go over just about everything. So let's start where we always do with this past week's fights in review. First off, we're going Thursday night to Mexico for Icon number 2. Had a a bantamweight bout. Bella Mir defeated Danielle Wynn via unanimous decision. Mir climbed to 1-0, successful pro debut. Danielle Wynn fell to 0-1. Interesting little fight here. Bella Mir, of course, is the teenage daughter of former UFC heavyweight champ Frank Mir. So much anticipated debut for her. Mostly took down Danielle Wynn. Didn't really want to do too much against her on feet. Didn't want to mess around. Decided to take, Wynn into her wheelhouse, and she did it pretty easily. I think she'll have an easier time fighting in the cage than she did in the ring. Seems like, the ring might have not be more to her style, but this event took place in the ring because there was a boxing event in that same ring earlier in the evening. But congrats to Bella Mir on successful pro debut. And then Saturday, UFC 254 had a pair of ladies fights, both in the flyweight division. First up, Miranda Maverick defeated Liana Jojua via TKO due to doctor stoppage at 5 minutes of the first round. Maverick climbed to 8-2. Jojua fell to 8-4. Nice fight here. Maverick seemed to have a hard time figuring out Jojua's striking at first. Jojua definitely looked more improved in the striking than she had in previous fights. Brought a nice counter punch with her. Maverick started to figure it out as the round wore on, and then she landed a nice, upwards elbow to Jojua's nose that, cut it open really bad. Didn't break it or anything, just gave a really nice gash. And at the end of the round, the doctor, they couldn't get it to stop bleeding. The doctor said no more, so the referee agreed, ending the fight, giving the win to Maverick, who had a successful UFC debut. And then up on the main card, Lauren Murphy defeated short notice opponent Lilia Shakarova via submission due to rear naked choke. 3 minutes, 31 seconds of the second round. Murphy climbed to 14-4. Shakarova fell to 8-2. You expect the UFC veteran to win against, someone making their debut, especially on short notice. Shakarova looks small at flyweight. Now, she's fought at flyweight her whole career, but there is a noticeable size difference here between her and Murphy. Of course, Murphy's a former bantamweight as well, but Shakarova might want to look into dropping down to strawweight. And then finally, at Pancrase number 319 on Sunday, had one ladies bout in the strawweight division. First bout of the night. Karen Date defeated Fumina Aoki due to submission via rear naked choke at 4 minutes 22 seconds of the first round. Karen Date climbed to 2-0. Aoki fell to 0-1. Another teenager here, 16-year-old Karen Date. Getting it done once again. This time she was able to finish her opponent. Her last fight went to decision. So, yeah, another teenager. 2 teenagers in the same weekend, getting successful wins there. All right, so that was it for this past weekend's fights. So let's get on into the news. First up, Elite MMA Championship 6 this Saturday, October 31st in Germany, has a bantamweight bout between Sarah Luzar, Smejek, coming in at 2-1, taking on Farina Romling, who is making her debut. Nice last-minute notice there, fight there. And then also this Saturday at NFC Nicaragua MMA 61. Now this bout might be amateur because they're both listed amateurs, or they could both be making their pro debut. Cristela Ruiz taking on Gabriella Hernandez. Didn't know there was MMA going on in Nicaragua, so this is the first time I'm hearing of it, so thought I would include that. It's either going to be at atomweight or strawweight, and like I said, it could be amateur. Also in the news, Jungle Fight flyweight champion Natalia Silva, who carries a record of 12 5-1, has signed with the UFC. You know, Jungle Fight's definitely one of the Brazilian promotions to keep an eye on. A lot of their champions end up in the UFC. And then Bellator 251 goes down on November 5th at the Mohegan Sun. It's going to have a featherweight bout. Janae Harding coming in 5-4, taking on Jessie Mealy coming in 9-4. 9-4, yes. Should be an interesting featherweight bout there. Nice chance for Janae Harding to get back on track, or Jessie Mealy as well. I believe she's coming off a loss. So. And then at KSW 56 on November 14th I believe it's going down in Poland, a flyweight bout. Karolina Obzars coming in at 3-0, taking on Justyna Haba coming in at 2-1. Now, Karolina Obzars is a training partner of UFC fighter Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Justyna Haba, you might remember, she's fought a couple of times in Ryzen, so it should be a good one. And they're both primarily strikers, I believe. And then Bellator 254 goes down on December 10th, and it's going to have a headlining bout in the flyweight division, flyweight championship bout. Elimile McFarlane coming in 11-0. The champ taking on challenger Juliana Velasquez coming in 10-0. Both ladies putting their undefeated record on the line. And then Invicta 43 goes down on November 20th in Kansas City. They just added 3 bouts to the card. First up, flyweight, Stephanie Geltmacher coming in 4-1, taking on Tricia Cicero coming in 4-3. That should be a good one. Geltmacher is always must-see. And then at strawweight, Juliana Miller coming in 1-0, taking on the debuting Kendall Hollowell. Both are new signings for Invicta. And then at featherweight, Courtney King coming in at 4-1. She's going to be taking on an opponent to be announced. And then finally in the news, this is a little bit of sad news here. Bellator MMA has released a number of fighters. And included on that list were female fighters Christina Williams and then Hatis Uzyurt. Now, Williams is a bit of a surprise. Now, her record, I believe, is now sitting at 500. She's, I want to say, 3-3. But I'm surprised, they cut her like that because she's only lost to really good fighters. She lost to Denise Kielholtz. She lost to Valerie Letourneau. And then she had one other loss against someone that I thought was, not a bad loss at all. So she made her pro debut with Bellator as well. So I'm really surprised they cut her. Now, Uzyurt is 2-7, and she kind of floats around. She's like a bantamweight, but she fights wherever they pretty much need her to. She'll fight at like 130 catch weight, or she's fought at, 140 flyweight or featherweight in Bellator. But that's no surprise. She's 2-7. She's just not very good. Now, I will say that, she mentioned on social media that she didn't even know that she was cut until she saw the article for, I believe it was MMA Junkie reported it, so she was disappointed. Honestly, I was more surprised that she was still on the roster. She hasn't fought for them since February of last year, and she has a record of 2-7. Like, she was brought in basically to provide wins for other Bellator fighters. So, she's surprised she got cut, didn't get notified. I was surprised, frankly, that she was still on the roster. All right, so that's it for the news for this week. So let's go ahead and take a look at the rankings updates now. One championship, no changes yet. There could be this weekend, though, because there is a championship bout for them this weekend that we'll talk about in a couple minutes. However, UFC, bunch of changes in the strawweight division, as you'll see here. Jessica Andrade has been removed from the rankings, which I think is fair. She just fought at flyweight. I don't think fighters should be ranked in more than one weight class. As a result, literally everyone from rank 4 to 15 moved up one spot. So the new number 3 is now Carla Esparza, and then everyone below her moved up a spot, and now Livia Hinata Souza is ranked at number 15. She was previously unranked. No changes at flyweight, though, and no changes at bantamweight. So, quick little rankings update there. So, big changes well, not big changes, but a lot of changes going on at strawweight. Anyway, let's get down into the final section for tonight, the weekend preview. So there is a bunch of events going on this weekend. First up, Friday morning, just a few hours from the time of this recording, one championship goes down in Singapore into the Matrix, a flyweight title bout. Seong Jin-nan coming in at 14-2, defending her flyweight title against Tiffany No Chill Teo coming in 9-1. The Panda Seong coming in off of a loss a year ago down at strawweight to Angela Lee. Now this is billed as a strawweight title bout, but it's at 125 pounds, so I'm going to refer to it as flyweight. So lost about a year ago in a lower weight class to Angela Lee. Before that though, had a long winning streak going back several years. Tiffany Teo is coming in on 2 straight wins. First over Michelle Nicolini via decision almost 2 years ago, and then 7 months ago she fought Ayaka Miura, who she TKO'd with punches and just battered Ayaka Miura's face. Let's see. Seong is listed at 32 years, and I believe Teo is 27. She's not listed on Tapology. No reach listed for these fighters, just the heights on Tapology. So they are both listed at 5 feet 5 inches, 165 centimeters tall. I'm very much really looking forward to this fight. Seong beat Teo, what was it, like over 2.5 years ago for the inaugural title fight in one championship in this division. Seong finished Teo in the 4th round via TKO, really just battered Teo en route to that TKO and knocked her down in the 4th round. I might have knocked her down like twice in that round, and the ref just stepped in and said that was enough. Teo, since then, has switched camps. Since that first fight, looked a lot better. And, you know, I really listened to an interview with her recently with SCMP MMA. You can go check that out on YouTube. She's coming in with a really, like, calm confidence. Like, you listen to her talk, just the way of talking about her training and how she feels coming into this fight. It inspires confidence. Seong, I haven't listened to her recent interviews, mostly because they're in Chinese, and I just always feel like you don't get a lot out of them listening to a translator. But Seong also changed her training camps since her last fight a year ago against Angela Lee. She went from Bali MMA to Evolve MMA in Singapore, and I'll be honest, that has me nervous as a Seong Jin-nan fan. I just don't trust Evolve MMA. They haven't really produced any champions of their own that I can think of. And from everything I've heard about them, there's no real structure to their pro MMA team and training. So yeah, that has me nervous for Seong. However, rewatching their last fight, Tiffany Teo is going to have to bring her absolute A game to beat Seong in this fight. And Seong's going to have to have regressed a lot. Maybe not a lot, but she's definitely going to have regressed as well. Because, excuse me, as crisp as Teo's striking is, Seong's is just accurate and she hits hard. And she just really, like I said, she battered Tiffany Teo in that last fight. That's why I'm going with Seong Jin-nan to win and retain her title in this bout. And then one championship's going to have to work really hard to bring in more fighters for this division. And then Friday night in the U.S. is LFA 94 is going to have one ladies bout. Oh no, I'm sorry. 2 ladies bouts. I missed this one at first. First up, at strawweight, Loveth Yun coming in 1-1, taking on Rena Norville coming in and making her pro debut. Loveth Yun coming in off of a loss to Vanessa Demopoulos 8 months ago in LFA. Before that, she had a win over Cynthia Arcio via rear naked choke and King of the Cage. That was 2 years ago. Norville coming in, making her pro debut, but looks like a perfect amateur record. So no age given for Norville. Young is 31 years young. Let's see. Norville will be the taller fighter, 5 feet 6 inches, 168 centimeters. Young is 5 feet 2 inches, 157 centimeters, so height advantage to Rena Norval. No reach listed for Norval. Young has a reach of 63.5 inches, 161 centimeters. I'm going to go with Young on this. I think she's underrated given her record, but I mean, she came in and in her pro debut and drew with the, at the time, undefeated King of the Cage champ, and then in a rematch, beat her via rear naked choke. Now, she had a very good fight with Vanessa Demopoulos as well, so love with Young is going to be hard. Don't know anything about Norval, which doesn't help her case, but that's why I'm going to go with Loveth Young here. And then in the main event at strawweight as well, title fight for the LFA Strawweight Championship. Champ Vanessa Demopoulos, Little Monster, taking on Lupita "Lupi" Godinez, the challenger. Demopoulos coming in 5-2. Godinez coming in 4-0. Demopoulos coming in off of a loss, actually, to Corey McKenna at Dana White's Contender Series 2 months ago via unanimous decision. Before that, she had won the vacant title against Sam Hughes 3 months ago via technical submission. She choked Hughes unconscious. Godinez has not fought in, almost 11 months. Last took a decision win over Lindsay Garbat for BTC Fight Promotions. Looks like Demopoulos is the elder fighter, 32 years to Godinez is 27 years. Godinez slightly taller, 5 feet 2 inches, 157 centimeters to Demopoulos is 5 feet 1 inch, 155 centimeters. Godinez also has slightly longer reach, 63 inches, 160 centimeters to Demopoulos is 62 inches, 157 centimeters. So Demopoulos coming in off that loss. You know, here's my problem with Demopoulos. I like watching her because she brings in some excitement, but she's a little too one-dimensional. She mostly relies on her BJJ. Her wrestling isn't particularly strong, and her striking isn't strong. Now, Godinez coming in, she's a Combate Americas veteran. She's had one fight there. So I'm thinking, and she won, you know, most Combate Americas fighters come in with a fairly strong striking game, or at least they know how to throw down. So she could give Demopoulos problems on the feet, but still, I'm going to go with Demopoulos. Her ground game, I think, is going to be the deciding factor in this. So we're going to go with Vanessa Demopoulos to win and retain her title against Lupi Godinez. Now, Saturday has a pair of all women's MMA events. Now, I'm not going to cover them in this video. I'm going to make individual videos after I'm done recording this one dedicated to them. One of them I just found out earlier, but first up, Saturday morning in the U.S. is going to be Deep Jewels 30. It's going to have, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pro MMA events, and with one semi-pro event. But we're going to talk about the pro events. Deep Jewels goes down Saturday. It's going to be available via their website via pay-per-view. Now, it is headlined by an atomweight championship bout between champ Toma Maesawa and Hikaru Ono. And it's also going to be Maesawa's retirement bout. Also on Saturday, now this one's Saturday night, is SFT 22 in Brazil. It's going to have 4 MMA bouts with a custom rules bout. Don't know what's going on there. And a grappling bout. So should be pretty interesting. Also a strawweight title bout between Andrea Serafim 4-0 and Pamela Mara Assis 4-2-1. That's going to be the headliner. So that's going to be on fight.tv. If you want, go ahead and check that one out. I'll make a video breaking down, the individual fights. Probably should be out tomorrow night on Friday. Then on Saturday night, UFC Fight Night, Hall versus Silva has one ladies bout. Courtney Casey coming in 9-8, taking on Priscilla Cachoeira coming in 9-3. Cast Iron Casey coming in off of a loss to Gillian Robertson via rear naked choke submission 4 months ago. Before that, had a successful flyweight debut over Mara Romero Barella via armbar 5 months ago. Cachoeira coming in off of her first UFC win 8 months ago, knocked out Shanna Dobson with a really nice uppercut. Preceding that, she had lost all 3 of her fights in the UFC. Let's see, Casey's the elder fighter, 33 years to Cachoeira's 32. They are the same height, 5 feet, 7 inches, 170 centimeters. However, Casey's going to have a reach advantage, 67 inches, 170 centimeters to Cachoeira's 65 inches, 165 centimeters. You know, this fight has me nervous. It's the only ladies bout on the card, and it's between 2 fighters that I just don't trust them to deliver a good bout. I just don't. I mean, either of them are capable of delivering a good bout, but they're also capable of stinking it up. And the 2 of them together just really makes me nervous. You know, Casey is inconsistent, but at least she's consistently inconsistent. Cachoeira only has that 1 win over, what's her name? Shanna Dobson 8 months ago. I'm going to go with Courtney Casey to win this one. And then finally, on Wednesday is going to be Dana White's Contender Series. It's going to be on Wednesday, Tuesday's election day. So they have 1 strawweight bout. Pauline Macias 4-0 taking on Gloria DePaulo 4-2. Let's see, Macias coming in undefeated. Last fought 8 months ago, catching a split decision win over Dana Zigelbaum Grau via split decision. DePaula coming in off of a win via TKO over Rafaela Rodriguez at SFT just a month ago, or excuse me, 1 year, 1 month ago, preceded by a loss a year and a half ago to Isabella de Padua. Don't have an age for Pauline Macias. I think I saw she's like 32 on a different website. Tapology lists DePaula at 25 years. DePaula is going to be slightly taller, 5 feet 5 inches, 165 centimeters to Macias is 5 feet 4 inches, 163 centimeters. Reach is almost the same, 66 inches, 168 centimeters for Macias, 65.7 inches, 167 centimeters for DePaula. So virtually identical. Virtually identical. I'm not making a pick on this one. Don't know a whole lot about either of them. Macias is an LFA product, but you look at her pro record, her best win is over a fighter who was 2-2 at the time. That was her last fight. DePaula definitely has some wins over fighters with better records, but they're in Brazil, and it's hard to tell. I'd have to really look at those records to see what they look like. But I just don't know about either of them, and frankly, I'm not a huge Contender Series fan. Contender Series tends to have fights that are not technically pleasing, I guess. They tend to go for sloppy fighters who fight for the finish, which is nice. Nothing against going for the finish, but the fights are usually low level and don't really belong in the UFC. Not saying that these 2 fighters don't necessarily, and strawweight definitely needs some new fighters right now. But yeah, I'm just not going to make a pick on this one. Alright, so that's it for this weekend's upcoming bouts, and that's it for episode number 7 of the WMMA Scene Report. If you liked the video, let me know your thoughts on anything we discussed in the comments down below. Of course, if you liked the video, please give it a like. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to WMMA Scene Now, the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.